Good morning, one and all. This is Real Talk, Karen Stacy, and I am starting a new show called Coaching Corner. And I know you probably have been like, where the hell is my Real Talk, Karen Stacy? Where has she been? I have been very, 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 very busy. I have now become an accredited coach, life coach. And as any of you know that have followed me previously on here, we have discussed a lot of things that will help us grow. I always like to address the pink elephant in the room. And today I decided to jump on because I have been discussing this with myself and then some other people where I'm going to have special guests and everything come on. So if this is something that resonates with you, make sure you hit that follow button and you will be notified whenever I go live. Now, I am a little annoyed with Podbean right now because they are taking away the live feature in May, and I absolutely love the live feature because I love to be able to engage with others. And now we will not be able to engage, so it will just be a recorded version. This is live, which means that if you jumped on and had a question and wanted to interact, you absolutely could do so. I've done some podcasts where people from India came on, all different places around the world, which I felt was just so amazing. And I'm sorry that we're going to be losing that, but I guess you got to roll with it. So make sure you're following me on socials also, the Real Talk Coach, Karen Stacy. That way, if I do go live on another platform, you will be able to catch me. So really what I want to talk about is, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about what a coach really is, because so many people do not know what a coach is. Now, don't get me wrong. There are many, many definitions of a coach, and there are many different coaches, right? There's mindset coaches, there's business coaches, there's, you name it, there's a coach for it. And everybody has their own technique. Everyone has their own philosophy. Some people have their own methods. But if they are a trained professional coach, we all pretty much have the same guidelines, if you will, and trainings. So it is very ethical. There is no, this is all judgment free. It is not something that is shared with others. And depending on your coach, those things are very, very important in the way I view things. Even with my friends, I mean, like, people will always say, like, this doesn't go further than us. Yeah, I know that. I'm not that type of person. One of my careers was a hairdresser, and hairdressers hear everybody's stuff and never tell the other person, because you might have a wife and a husband. And then, of course, I also bartended, so same difference. So I've pretty much been a therapist most of my life. So now I have actually learned the proper ways to do it, not just from my own experience, but also being educated to help others. That said, I do feel that life's lessons, what you do with what happens in your life or happened in your life, is also a great guide, because I always say to people, if I can do it, you can do it. And a lot of times we feel as though, oh, I can't do that. Yeah, no, I can't. Or we just brush it down. Like, you know what? I'm not dealing with that today, or I'm not going to do that today. And so I'm here to say that I've been through it like so many of us, right? If you actually talk to people, we all have a story, right? If you literally sit down and just stay quiet, it's amazing what people will tell you. And some people are very forthcoming because they kind of just need to get it out. And other people, like probably myself, I'm a very private person. So I rather listen to whatever is going on with others than to, I don't know, it's not the right word, right? But sometimes we feel like we're dumping. So that's the reason why having a coach or a therapist is the right way to go, because, friends, it's not friends' jobs to listen and, help fix us, air quotes, right? But if you're fortunate enough to have a good friend that listens, and then you can actually just say what you need to say and hear it out loud, and maybe you can process it if you are self-aware enough, and then you can move through that, then that's phenomenal. So never underestimate the power of a good friend. That said, if you're going through certain things, you obviously can't depend on that friend to get you through all of it. Well, maybe when you're like 20 years old, maybe you can, but when the people that I coach are high functioning, strong women over 40, and most of us strong women over 40 are juggling 100 different things. Therefore, there's not a hell of a lot of time for those dumping conversations. It's kind of like the Reader's Digest version of them. And maybe you get some support. Maybe you don't. Sometimes, honestly, people don't know what to say, and that's okay too. So if you are struggling with things, I would absolutely look into gaining a coach or hiring a coach, because so many of us have things that we're going through and we don't necessarily know how to navigate them. And it's not easy. I have to tell you that I did a lot of work on myself prior to, enrolling in my university and gaining my ICF accreditation. But I learned so much during my accreditation, because as I'm learning how to help others, I am implementing all of these things for myself as well. What I am, though, is real. And that is definitely one of the things that separates me from other people, because I'm real talk, and you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. So what I mean by that is I am the kindest person you will ever meet. I have the most compassion that anyone would probably have, but I keep it real. And I am kind of like someone's mirror, because I listen and then I kind of reflect back on the person. Therefore, that's the reason why in my coaching, I use high functioning, strong, because you have to be in a certain mindset in order to hear the truth. And a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. And I'll be straight. There are a lot of my friends that if they're going through something and they're not ready to deal with it or handle it, they avoid me. And it's not because I judge them. It's not because I put anything on them. It's just that they know that if they're not okay, I'm going to talk to them, and then they're going to have to be honest about what's going on. So is being honest about what's going on scary? Yeah. Some people definitely are it is. It's a lot, because you know what? We don't want to deal with it. And I get that. But the problem with not dealing with things is that they manifest in other places. I'll tell you a quick story. For those of you that, are new to me, I am a widow, and this has become my identity for 11 years. And I am now stepping into, I am Karen. And it's hard to do, because when you have a life-altering event that happens, you can't help but identify as that because it becomes everything you are. And I have been living in survival mode for 11 years. Well, I'm not living there now. So it's a brutal place to live, and you forget about yourself because you just can't deal. And all you do is focus on everyone else, hence high functioning, because you're still functioning, but you're not living. You're just surviving. And so I'll give you a little, for instance, like going to the doctor, right? That becomes frightening. What if something's wrong? And, how am I going to deal with that? And yada, yada. And so I didn't go, for instance, like I think I went to the dentist a couple of times in the interim. And I noticed that my teeth were starting to shift, especially on the bottom. And I don't know if you hear me speaking a little bit funny, but that's why, because guess what? I did go to the dentist. I had to get some work done and my teeth shifted and I am now wearing braces. Crazy, right? 55, going to be 56 in like 2 weeks. And I'm wearing braces. Yes, they are Invisalign, so it's not awful, but it is awful. And it's ridiculous that, not ridiculous, but like I find it ridiculous at, 55 years old that I'm wearing braces. But guess what? When you do not take care of yourself, things manifest, things happen. And then you just got to face the music and dance. But the only way to face the music and dance is to be in a better mindset, a better state of mind so that you are actually able to do that. So I am just telling you from personal experience that it can happen and that you are able to push through certain things, but it doesn't happen overnight and you do need some assistance. Some people need assistance, some people don't. But, it's not just about watching, videos. I mean, yeah, they're great and you can learn a lot from them. But sometimes you just need your person and sometimes you just need insight. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on with this podcast and talk to people and give people a different perspective. If you listen to my previous shows, Real Talk with Karen Stacy, I have had a number of guests. I also did coffee talk. I did sex talk. I did lunch talk. I'm always talking. And my message has always been to show the pink elephant in the room and to gain a different perspective. I see that we have some people here. If you want to drop a comment, if there's something that you'd like me to discuss, I'm happy to do so. So this is the reason why I decided to start this show. And I'm going to actually bring on some fellow coaches and we're going to just have some conversations that you guys can get a bird's eye view and listen and hopefully find little tidbits of information here that will help. And that is the reason why I want to do this, because my mission has always been to help others. And now that I am in a better place, I think I can do more good and I can help more people. I know that in the past, my shows have helped people and it meant the world to me. I've had a lot of people, well, I don't want to say a lot, but I've had a few messages where people were suicidal and, some just in a dark place, and they would listen to the shows and it just helped them stick around for another day. And I'm very grateful for that, because anything I can do to help others is my passion. And I always felt that going through what I went through and, still pushing through, single mom, yada, 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 so many people can relate to. And I just want to be able to help others, even if you don't want to, get a coach or whatever, that's fine. It's just a matter of listening, learning, and knowing you're not alone. So if this resonated with you, Please be sure to follow me, and I will be live again as long as I can be until May, and then Podbean, I'm pissed off, is changing it. So I will definitely be back. Feel free to comment. Feel free to follow me on social so you can stay in the mix. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Much love. Bye, guys.